Hello! Welcome to this week's episode of Zebadextra v. Phebo.
Yep.
Today we will be discussing the film John Wick 4.
John Wick 4.
This
4 of them.
Was Tim's turn to pick the film, and we went to go see John Wick 4 in the theaters. This is an action
bonanza.
Yes, and it is the fourth installment in a series about this man who used to work for this crime family, this Assassin's Guild. Yeah, sure, that works. And he got out of it at one point, had to get back in.
Why?
Well, let's just not get into it too much. And we're only doing one movie, not all four.
All about it.
So he reluctantly fights for this Assassin's Guild, and a lot of people die along the way. So we are going to do lots of spoilers in this review. So that's your little taste. If you've never heard of John Wick, I would be surprised.
No.
But if you've never watched them, it's probably because action films aren't your cup of tea.
Probably.
And Tim really likes John Wick because Keanu Reeves, his character, he's just like a nice guy. He's just trying to get people to leave him alone. And so, you know, he's enacting a little bit of revenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so he could disappear entirely, but he's kind of an eye for an eye kind of dude. And this chapter takes us to Paris, takes us to Germany. They go to Berlin.
Yeah.
They're in New York. They go to Japan. This one, we are globe-trotting AF.
Yeah.
So, I think this is still in the theaters if they want to go check it out in the theaters.
I believe it is.
It was a pretty good time in the theaters. I don't think you have to watch it in the theaters. Definitely not kid-friendly. There's a lot of killings. There's probably like 250 deaths in this film. It's a lot. It's just, I'm not even exaggerating. It's just non-stop for 2.5 hours killing people.
This was pretty intense with it.
All right, so that's your heads up. If you would not like spoilers about John Wick 4, then maybe push pause, go watch, and join us back.
Yeah.
But I am going to get into the whole plot. And if you are new to our channel, I hope you subscribe if you like what you see. Also, sound down in the comments below with your thoughts on this.
How could you not like what you see
on this film? And I'm just going to kind of roll through. When I lead these discussions, I take lots and lots of notes on my phone, and then we just plow on through.
Barrel through.
So that's hilarious. I put John Wick 3.
Wow.
I didn't even put the title correct. Oh, also...
This does not bode well.
You don't have to watch the other ones before you see this. It's helpful.
Yeah, but
it's not like imperative.
There are certain parts that they reference back, but
really, there is plot, but there's not a ton of plot. It's more just about the constant action, stunt work, and so that's probably what you're there for. Not so much the plot.
Yeah.
Okay. So John Wick 4 starts with Lawrence Fishburne's character. His name is the King of something. I read it down farther. Anyway, Lawrence Fishburne is in this movie. There's a bunch of great actors in here. He's yelling as John is punching a bloody beam over and over, and he says, "Are you ready, John?" So John's in hiding since the last one, right?
Right.
And then it immediately cuts to 4 figures riding horses through the desert. John is chasing and shooting them. He kills them all. He bows before the new elder and says he wants his ring and his freedom. So the elder is like the highest person at the table. So the Assassin's Guild is called the Table. They all work for the Table. And the Table is like a bunch of people that govern it. And the elder is the top person.
Yes.
And he killed the previous elder in the last one, right? And then he gets there, and this is the new elder, and he just killed him again.
You know,
this is the new elder.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we watched this, but I think yes.
Yeah, and so he's in big trouble.
I do know he kills at least one elder.
Well, he's in big trouble already from the start of this movie because he just killed this guy.
Yes.
None of us can escape who we are, and you will never escape the Table, is what the elder tells him. Right? He's like, "Oh, well," and then he just shoots him. He's just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now we're in New York City at the Continental. So the Continental is the location of a lot of the goings-on in the previous movies.
Right.
And it's like the headquarters of all the American assassins. The headquarters, right?
Yeah. What? It's a safe house. Is basically what it is.
Okay.
It's so like no business is allowed to be conducted at the Continental or any of these safe houses, and there are some located across the world.
Yeah, as we find out in this movie.
Yes,
We get
yes.
to
We
go
we
to
did
some
not
of
know
them.
that coming
Yeah.
into this.
They expanded.
They did.
I think they're making a John Wick 5.
I
Should we wait?
Let's discuss that at the end because I have some thoughts on that.
Okay. So Tim says, kill everybody at the table and then become the table. That's what you said right at this part.
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
That's what you should do. Kill them all and then take it over.
I think a new character this time is the Harbinger?
Harbinger.
Was he in the last one?
Wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. Which
He's
guy
the guy. He was the white bearded guy, and he kind of like regulated the match, and he's with the main bad guy in the beginning.
I don't remember seeing him in any of the previous films.
So he might be a new guy.
Yeah, a new kind of character.
Because I thought at first that he was like the head guy, and he was kind of like doing an undercover boss scenario. But they don't ever say that in the film.
Because there's a lot of undercover boss that goes on in Assassin's Guild.
Well, yeah. I mean, that would be very meta of them.
Yeah.
So, undercover boss filming in a John Wick movie. So, the Harbinger visits Winston, who is the...
Concierge.
No.
Well, he's the manager.
The manager of the continental U.S.
Yes.
And informs him the hotel has been condemned. He puts a giant 1-hour hourglass on his desk.
Yes.
And so they don't say, when an hour is up, we will blow your hotel to pieces, but that's what happens.
That's what happened.
So the decree is signed by the table, giving the Marquis ultimate rule, which is also not really explained. It's like because the elder's dead, now the Marquis is in charge.
It kind of, yeah. So the table has given the one person the control.
Yeah.
To go after John Wick full bore.
Okay. Basically, you have the elder, and then they're like, okay, we're actually going to give the youngest person at the table control now. I thought it was kind of silly. The Marquis, by the way, is played by Bill Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise the Clown in It. So he's a good villain in this show, but also if you happen to have already watched that movie, he's even more creepy because you can see his character through his eyes. Tim's never seen that one.
I don't watch clowns.
All right. Marquis is Bill Skarsgård. Winston believes in second chances, but the Marquis does not.
He does not.
No.
He doesn't.
I mean, probably for himself.
Well, yeah.
He says John Wick is the face of Winston's failure. When the sand ran out at the Continental is demolished, and Winston is excommunicado from the table. And then he shoots the concierge named Sharon.
Yes.
That was horrible.
Yeah, that was kind of bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Winston kept being like, don't come with me. And then he used him to hurt the other guy.
Yeah.
And I do want to point out that the actor who plays that character, Sharon, he just recently passed. So it made it extra sad. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah. So rest in peace. He says, bring me Kane.
Kane.
There's so many cool characters in this film. Kane is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Remember Kane? He has a cane.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he does.
Now we go to Paris. There is a blind man listening to a violinist, and then he walks into, I put the Palace of Versailles. They wouldn't be in the Palace of Versailles, right? But it was just like a really fancy place, and the Marquis is just chilling in there with horses and like eating stuff, right?
Yeah, they were in the stables at one point.
But the Marquis is constantly in lavish surroundings. Everywhere he goes, he's doing super sassy stuff. Yeah. So he's super rich, apparently. The Marquis gives Kane the order to kill John Wick, who is his friend. John Wick is friends with a lot of the assassins in this show. And the friends have to choose, like, do I kill John Wick or do they kill my daughter? Which is the case for this guy, Kane. The violinist he was watching is his daughter, so he has to protect his child. So now he has to go find and kill his friend, John Wick.
Yep.
Now we're in Osaka, Japan, and we're at the Continental in Japan.
Yes.
The manager, who I put his name down in just a minute, I think it's Shimazu. He assures his daughter, who is also the concierge, that they don't need to worry that the New York City Continental was destroyed, but John Wick is on the roof. And the daughter's like, Dad, don't let him come here. He's going to ruin us just like they ruined there. And he's like, it'll be fine. And then John Wick's on the roof.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, great. Which I thought was pretty ballsy. Like, why did John Wick even go there?
Because they were
Was he just
like,
hiding out?
They were like besties.
I know, but he had to know that he was bringing doom on these people by being there.
Probably, yeah.
See, I didn't like that because I didn't feel like John Wick would have actually done that.
Oh.
Unless there was a purpose for him to be there to get something.
Well, I think the purpose was to bring the Japanese into the whole conflict.
But that doesn't actually help at all.
It doesn't.
Okay, so I don't like this plot point. People who wrote this movie, I didn't think John Wick would have done this to his friend.
Especially when you think, like, the whole basis of this film series is on the death of his dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I could see where you're coming from on that.
And the death of his car. Okay, so he informs him about the demolition and the execution. The Shimazu tells, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, so please pardon me, but he tells John that, and he says the table will never stop. It only takes life and only leaves death. And John says, I'm sorry for being here. Shimazu says friendship doesn't mean much when it's convenient.
That is.
Marquis' men come to the concierge and ask for the manager. She tells her assistant to evacuate everyone. John says he's going to kill them all. Akira, which is the concierge and daughter of his friend.
Not played by Shakira.
No, but that would have been cool.
It would have.
This girl was a really great fighter. She was great. Yeah. I was sad she wasn't in it more, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's touch on that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Akira goes to inform her father, and he says to stay with John. So she's super pissed.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, you did the worst thing, and now we're all going to die.
Yep.
So the Marquis has this, like, main head bruiser guy. And I wrote his name down way below, but I'm just going to call him Head Baddie.
Bowser.
Yeah, Bowser or Head Baddie. That's what I put him in the notes. So he comes and he's like, we have reason to believe you're harboring this fugitive, and we're going to shut you guys down.
You know what was kind of crazy to me?
What?
Like, it was weird because all the baddies looked alike to me.
They were all just, like, huge muscle builder. Like, they look like they were in video games. Like a stock video game big guy.
Yeah, it was like an NPC.
Maybe they were. That's probably why they were. It's probably why they were like that. This movie feels like you're in a video game. It really does.
Literally every single one of them looked to be the same.
I have to admit, that is the thing that I did not notice. Because you only see the people for like a second. Hey, here comes another bad guy dead. Here comes another bad guy dead.
But I kept going, okay.
Which bad guy is this?
Which bad guy is this? And
because
why? How didn't he just die?
They probably used a lot of the same people because they just all kept dying over and over.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, you stuntman number one that played
73 guys.
Yeah, 73. I was going to say 25, but it's probably 70.
I died 73 times in John Wick 4.
That goes on his resume for sure.
It would.
The manager tells them to surrender their guns.
Yeah.
And now Kane shows up in the lobby and is there to enforce the command. The hotel has been deconsecrated. So far, we haven't seen Kane fight. We know he's blind.
So, what's the difference between excommunicado and deconsecrated?
Well, deconsecrated is like a place. Excommunicado is a person.
Right.
But they're both things that the table's like, we're done with you.
Right.
Yeah? Okay.
So basically the deconsecration is...
It's no longer
sancta sant.
There we go. So they can kill people if they want to.
Right. Anybody can be killed there.
Shimazu snaps his fingers and the lights go out. Archers are poised to shoot everyone from above.
That's a pretty neat trick.
Yeah. I hope you didn't put archers in here to just shoot everyone.
I was just trying to shut out the lights.
The head baddie says, kill them all. Full out brawl. Like, lots of fighting.
Lots,
and then you think it's going to be
tons.
done, and then it goes on for, like, literally a half an hour more.
It was a long
Just
time.
changing location and changing And John Wick, by the way, is over 60 years old. And he just fights for 2.5 hours straight, which equals to, like, 5 days straight.
Yeah. In this movie, it's many, many days.
So, like, I was exhausted. Like, you're watching it, and at first you're like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, they never give him a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did kind of feel bad for him because it was literally one butt kicking after another.
Oh, yeah.
And, like,
He's
could
good
see.
at getting his butt kicked. He's like Rocky.
Yeah, he keeps getting back up.
All right, so the full-up brawl, reinforcements come in for the Marquis men. Shimazu says, fall back. They start to search for John. They're fighting on the roof. I put Akira is awesome. Kane is in the kitchen eating in the dark. Yes. And somebody's like, get up and fight. And
he's like just sitting there eating his noodles while everybody else is fighting.
They're fighting in the kitchen, and he's like, fine, I'll get up. So this part was really cool. He walks around the kitchen, putting motion sensors everywhere. I thought that they were bombs. But he puts motion sensors everywhere because we've never seen this in a fight before.
Yeah.
But as soon as one of the people will walk past it, he'll know exactly where they are, and then he can shoot them or hit them. I think it was. Yeah. I don't think it was shooting, was he?
I don't remember what he used. But it was kind of comical because you see a guy walk past, he's like, ding dong.
Yes.
And then dead.
Yeah. So they made it funny. Yeah. Because of the sound. But yeah. So anyway, Kane's really cool. He's fun in this show. Fight scenes. Oh, I put it feels very much like a video game. Akira stabs this one guy while she's on his back and he's crawling up the stairs. Remember that part? She just keeps stabbing him in the back and he's crawling up these stairs and she's just riding him like a parasite insect or something, just stabbing him.
Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty crazy.
Then she gets shot.
Ooh.
And bad. Her father pulls her up and tells John to get out and kill as many as he can. They're fighting people.
Which he will do.
They're fighting people in full body armor so they don't go down easy. So they'll get like a kill shot, but it won't kill them. So they have to keep trying to kill them over and over.
And it should be noted that like the suits that these assassins wear, including John Wick, are Kevlar.
Full Kevlar suits.
Yeah. So like
they'll lift up their suit coat to block their face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was kind of video game-esque as well.
Yeah, it was pretty silly.
Yeah.
So John gets thrown through glass again, which I put this because in the previous movie when he's fighting the Iron Chef, he just gets thrown through glass over and over and over at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So, again, he's in, like, this art gallery in the in Osaku, and he's just destroying all of this art and just smashing through all this glass over and over. So, he picks up nunchucks, which reminded me of that TikTok guy that does, like, he's like, oh no, I dropped my wallet. And then he's like, choo, 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 choo. And then he pretends to like hit people.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the one where they're doing the video where they're for a movie. And the guy picks up the nunchucks and he's like, whacks himself in the head and knocks himself out.
No, but the guy that I'm talking about is really silly. But he's like using his wallet as a nunchuck or something because it has like a chain on it. Anyway, I'm sure you've seen it.
I don't think I have.
So lots of fighting in this art exhibit with these tall Viking men, all bigger than John. So that's what we were talking about. They all just look like Vikings in suits.
And they're all, and like, they look alike.
Yeah.
I mean...
It makes sense that they would use the same actors, you know?
Yeah. They all look like they came out of the Doom video game or something.
Maybe they did.
You know, it was...
Maybe they were all CGI and we just couldn't tell.
Possibly.
I doubt it.
I don't know.
You know the one stunt where the guy
That would be horrible to get your butt kicked by a CGI.
Not really, because you could be like, hey, it wasn't fair. It was CGI.
It was CGI. I couldn't...
You remember the part with where the guy gets hit and he falls down the escalator and it's just like boom, 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 boom. Do you remember that part? I saw that part on TikTok too. They were shooting the stuntmen working on that. And it was showing the real men that were doing all these things. And it was crazy.
Yeah.
So, man.
Yeah,
really
it's
dangerous
pretty crazy stunts that they do in this whole...
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not even like 20% of the way through.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a long movie.
yeah. Okay, so of all fighting, in case you weren't clear on that,
Yeah, it's a running fight the whole time.
I put wave after wave comes with barely a second to breathe. Super long fight sequence here. Wick is tired and Kane appears. And and basically, so one of them says I'm sorry and the other one says me too. So they're basically like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to kill you.
Yeah.
And then they fight. John has an opportunity to kill Kane but doesn't. And Kane calls out, "You dead, John?" And he's just quiet. And a new character is on the scene, the Tracker. So we had actually seen him a little bit earlier in here, and I was looking it up on IMDb to see what this guy's name was. But the Tracker, he's this man who's a sharpshooter, and he has a German Shepherd.
I believe it was, yeah.
And so he's also there. He's like a bounty hunter.
If it's not a German Shepherd, I apologize.
Yeah.
You can put it in the comments below.
Yeah. Tell us in the comments, actually.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like a bounty hunter. He's like
yeah, that's exactly what he is.
What's the name when you work for yourself? He's self-employed. No, but the other name.
Contractor.
He's contracted. I don't know.
He's a contract killer to kill the contract killers.
And so the new character starts shooting at both of them. John's bounty just increased to 20 million. Do you remember what it was at first? Like 18?
No, it was only like a 5 or
really?
10.
Okay.
It wasn't. It was not much. I mean, not enough that I would go out of my way to attack John Wick.
Yes, but when it hits 20 million, apparently every person.
Well, 20 million. That's a
actually
lot
they're still in Japan. Not every person is after him yet.
No, not till France.
No. Yeah. Now John's on the grounds. He's in a kind of foresty area, and Tracker says, "Damn, Johnny, this is quite the mess you've made."
Yeah.
I don't think they knew each other before this. I think it's just like an aside to his dog. Like, wow, this is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He does Wild West spins with his gun. Oh, yeah, I remember that. There's like I don't remember if this is in the other movies, but there's a lot of doo-doo-doo, doo-doo. There's like some music.
Oh, really?
And there's like the gun spinning, and I think this is supposed to be like a Western, but not Western in
like a spaghetti Western type thing.
I don't know what that means.
Oh.
What's spaghetti Western?
We'll talk about it later.
Tell us in the comments. What's a spaghetti Western?
A spaghetti Western is like, I believe they were made in Italy.
That makes it sound cheesy.
They kind of are.
Well, this isn't like that.
They kind of are cheesy.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, not a spaghetti Western, but it definitely has like some Western influences. That's what I thought.
All right.
But yeah, he's like spinning his gun. Did you see that? He's like, and puts it in his holster.
I don't remember that.
Oh. Well, I was taking excruciatingly concise, no, not concise, notes.
I would go with notes,
yeah.
but not necessarily all those adjectives.
Yeah, and I was sitting there with a voice dictator going blah, 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 during the whole movie. No,
Did you,
I wasn't.
I was like, oh my goodness, that would drive everybody crazy.
That would be so rude. So he does a Wild West spin and lets John go. And he says...
that wouldn't be too bad, though, compared to what I normally do, which is the headlamp and a piece of paper.
Yeah, you totally do that.
Yeah.
He tells John they're in it together now. I don't remember, like, because he clearly is coming after him later. So I wonder why he's saying they're in it. Maybe he's just trying to drive the price up. That's probably what he's trying to do.
Yeah. He wants to drive the price up.
Yeah.
Because
he's smart. He's a businessman.
Yeah, he doesn't want to take out John until the price is right.
Not till it's way over 20 million.
Yeah.
Spoiler. So Shimazu, and again, I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong, and Akira stumble outside and onto Kane. He says, "Tell me where John is and leave." And the father says no, and his daughter sees he's also shot. So the dad was like carrying the shot daughter out, but now she discovers that he's also shot. He's
also wounded as well, yeah.
These two men battle with swords, and her father is stabbed through his stomach. This part is sad.
Yeah.
He still goes after Kane and is stabbed again. Akira crawls to him and holds him as he dies. She grabs the sword to avenge him, and Kane says, "No, live." As she limps away, he says, "I'll be waiting for you," because he knows that she's going to come attack him at some point.
Yeah.
Because that's what he would do, probably.
In John Wick 5, maybe?
Yeah. Or 10.
Or maybe they'll call it Jane Wick.
No.
Jane
Because
Eyre.
her name wouldn't be Jane Wick.
I know, but
Akira, the
how
BA
do you
concierge.
how do you?
Yeah. Okay. John enters a train. He gets out the marker he got off a dead assassin. Oh, the marker, like the token. So they have these markers that lets them call in favors and stuff.
Yeah.
So he picks one off of one of the assassin's bodies. And so he takes it out. Akira stumbles onto the same train car, which I thought was silly. And she says, "My father is dead because of you." And she says, "You kill Kane or I will." And she leaves the train. Now we're back in New York City.
Yeah.
Da-da-da. Winston and the Bowery King. That's Lawrence Fishburne's name, is the Bowery King. What's a Bowery?
I don't know. We'd have to.
Hey Siri, what's a Bowery?
The Bowery is a street and neighborhood in Lower Manhattan in New York City. The
Okay,
street runs.
so it's a street.
Okay.
Cool.
Because I thought they kept calling him the king of the sewers.
I don't think they said the king of the sewers.
I'm
That's too explicit.
I know, but I think at the very beginning they called him the king of the sewers.
Well, he does live in the underground, and he like controls this secret tunnel thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, his name's the Bowery King. So Winston, the concierge from New York City, if you're following me, I'll have pictures for you up, of course, so you can't get left behind.
This guy right here.
They are staring up at the ruined Continental and talk about how Winston needs to talk to John.
Oh.
Now we see the Marquis and the Harbinger. Is that what you call it? Harbinger. They are talking while horse riders are riding around them in circles. Really silly, but it definitely gives you
the rich and entitled kind
just this guy's ultra douchebag.
Yeah.
Harbinger tells him all this death is not necessary. Kane and the tracker are sitting at the Marquis stables. So we went to New York for like a second. Now we're in Paris, and Kane and the tracker are meeting with the Marquis in these fancy stables.
I was thinking a lot of these places that we see in the movie, we're going to be able to see in a couple of months.
I know.
Will that be fun?
Yeah. Which one of us will be John Wick and which one of us will be Kane?
I can take my cane.
There you go. Yeah, and John doesn't ever kill Kane. Well, spoiler. So I won't kill you.
Well, that's good to know. It's probably good to have on film too, and then you can point to my video and go, see,
it wasn't
but
me.
I didn't do it because I said I would never do that.
Don't put that out in the universe. Strike that. Okay. So they're they're sitting at the stables, and Kane tells him, think twice before accepting any kind of deal from the Marquis. And the Marquis says, how are you about to locate him? He's talking to the tracker. So the tracker's like, hey, I can find this guy for you. Pay me a whole bunch of money and I'll do it. And the Marquis is like, well, tell me how you're going to do it. And he says, pay me first and then I'll tell you and I'm going to go do it. And so he says, I want $25 million plus that same match to my 401k when he's dead. So the bounty, is that what it is? The bounty was $20 million. So he's basically asking for $50 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, which smart businessman. But Marquis offers 20 and then he counters with 23. Marquis shakes his hand, and the Marquis stabs his hand through a log.
Yeah.
So he's got him in a handshake and then smash, stab.
Yes.
And he stabs it like right through the finger
between
the bone.
Yeah, the ring and middle finger bones.
And so he says, pull your hand out or pull the knife out. And if he pulls his hand out, it shows his commitment, and that's what he does. So basically, he like slices his hand up. And this was the first part that I was like, babe, I can't watch this.
Yeah, this one was kind of hard to watch.
Yeah, and Tim's like, they didn't show it. And I said, well, it looked like so I was about to happen right before I closed my eyes.
Yeah, so they showed him like start pulling it, and then they kind of
they show something else or something.
They go back to their faces
and you're thinking, well, this guy needs his hands to shoot. He's a sharpshooter. He needs both hands, right? You can't shoot with one hand.
I mean, that's a trigger hand.
Maybe he can shoot with one hand because he's epic, but
apparently he can because he continues shooting through the movie.
Yeah, that was not explained well.
Yeah, well, he had it wrapped up in bandages.
Okay. Anyway. So, Marquis says happy hunting. Winston is lighting candles at Charon's grave, and John walks up. So now John's back in New York City.
Yes.
He's just zoop, 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 and he's getting on planes, and nobody's stopping him, and all that good stuff. He probably has a bunch of masks, like Mission Impossible.
Yeah. He dresses up as Tom Cruise.
Yes, but also that one Russian guy. But also that one Australian guy from the second movie.
Sure.
And also that one lady.
Yeah.
Probably. Why didn't they show this in the movie? It would have been so good.
It would have.
But then Tom Cruise probably would have sued him.
Probably.
So, yeah. John says, my condolences. And he says, who is represented by this pin? What is that? What was that? Who is represented by this pin?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember that in the movie.
Okay.
It was probably a slow part, and I was just recuperating.
Well, then Winston says, when will it end, John? And he says, they will replace him before the body's cold. Kill him, but do it the smart way and get him to give you freedom. So he's talking about the Marquis. So he's like, It doesn't matter if you take your revenge on this guy.
Yeah, because they'll just backfill that position.
Yeah, they'll put the Maharaja as the main person instead of the Marquis. And then the Tsar will be it, yeah. He says, challenge him to a one-on-one combat. Winston says John's family in Berlin. So John's like, I can't challenge him to a one-on-one combat. I don't sit at the table. And he's like, but your family in Berlin can challenge him and name you as their champion. Yeah. And so John's like, that's a good idea. Yeah. So he goes to a church and surrenders his guns. So he's in Berlin now. But his family is Russian. Just so you know, this confused me a little bit, but we get well immersed into this Russian mob family's culture pretty quickly into getting into this church. He surrenders his guns. He tries to talk to the father, who pulls out a revolver and shoots him just from behind the altar. Just whoop, boom.
Yes. Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
By the way, it's good that they have the Kevlar.
Right here, suits. I go, they have bulletproof suits, and Tim's like, he's been wearing it the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Why do you think he's doing the Batman?
I didn't understand. I was like, he's just smelling his pits. He's like, I smell so good today. That deodorant's working so good. Tracker calls Marquis and tells him where John is and wants to claim his prize. But Marquis now requires his death before payment. So I guess before all he was going to have to track him down for $23 million, but now he says kill him or I won't pay you.
Yeah.
And he says now it's John's life or your life. So now the tracker wasn't going to kill him. He was just going to collect the money, but now he's like, I have to kill him or they're going to kill me.
Yeah.
That's why Cain said, watch out before you make a deal. And they tell him at the church, the prodigal son returns. Then they quickly put John into a noose and are slowly hanging him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor John. Like, this whole thing, you're just looking at him, you're like, yeah, you're 60. You need to retire. Like, go sit on a beach. Like, you poor dude.
But literally the entire series of movies, I feel bad for John Wick.
But they started 10 years ago.
Okay, so he was 50.
Yeah.
When he started all of this. But you're like watching all of the movies, and like in every single movie he is just like you said, it's comparable to Rocky because he's just beaten down.
I think I just figured out what it is. This is the first John Wick movie that I've actually paid attention. Because the other ones, I'm only like half watching, probably falling asleep, but I was taking notes like very actively. So I was paying much more attention this time.
Yeah. Okay. So, but they're all like that, where he's just like getting destroyed the whole way through the movie. But I mean, he just keeps getting up and moving forward.
Yeah.
And
he's the Terminator.
Yeah.
Pretty
also
much.
Another good analogy because
really?
because he keeps getting up. Yeah.
It says.
Although in the end, the Terminator's defeated, but. So maybe not the best analogy.
But he comes back.
They do.
Okay. Anyway. It says for Peter to decide, or Piotr to decide. Piotr was murdered after John shot the elder. Oh. So John's like, you don't have the right to kill me. I want to talk to the father of their mob family.
Right.
And the daughter comes out and she's like, he got murdered after you killed the elder.
Yes.
So she has cause to be really pissed with John.
Yeah.
He says they have a common enemy. He's going to help her by killing the Marquis in a duel. The priest tells, I feel like I'm saying this wrong, Piotr's daughter. I'm just going to call him Peter. Peter's daughter. In order for that to work, he'd have to be a member of a family and have a crest. And she says, kill the guy that killed my dad, and he's back in. So she cuts him down.
Oh my goodness.
She cuts him down, and she's like, Klaus will show you where he is. And this guy, Klaus, who doesn't say any words, just comes over and starts bashing him in the face.
But Klaus does say words.
He says Klaus?
Something like that. I was like, this man is
like
Groot.
Hodier. Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Hodor, yeah. So this guy, you think he's going to come over and tell John Wick what to do? No, he just smashes him in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty hardcore. So Klaus does take him to a poker table with a guy with a full gold grill. So there's this giant... Is he German? Or is this another Russian guy?
I think he's Russian. No, I think he's German. I think he was German.
Okay, so there's this giant German dude at this club, and he probably runs the club.
Yes.
And he's sitting at a poker table, and he is like goofy smiling all the time. He's real creepy, and he's big, sweaty, and then gold grill. I've put his face on the screen. Kane is there too.
Yes. Who else is there?
Is Kane just sitting at the table?
Not at first.
Not at first.
No. At first, it's just the German mob boss.
Okay.
And then.
But we see Kane just like standing in the room.
I didn't notice him.
Oh.
I didn't notice him, but then John sits down, and they're talking back and forth, and John tells him, "Well, I'm going to kill you." And,
all right, I'm almost there.
Okay.
So Grill Guy says that the family sold you out. So he's like, wait a second, why do you have all these people here? And he's like, oh, the family sold you out. So, what's his name? Klaus? Klaus took him there, but they also told him that he was coming, so they'll all be prepared for him, apparently.
Yeah.
Because I guess they didn't really think he'd be able to do it. John tells Kane that this is personal. Grill Dude pulls out a gun, and Kane back on him. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either, and I watched the movie.
Grill pulled out a gun and came back on him? Okay, so he's got him at gunpoint. A bodyguard brings Tracker in now. He calls himself Nobody. He's like, what's your name? Nobody.
Nobody.
My name is Nobody. Doo-doo-doo-doo. See? It's a callback to the old westerns.
Nobody knows.
If you know that movie, My Name is Nobody, let me know, because that was like one of my father's favorite movies growing up.
Oh.
Terrence something was the actor's name. Anyway. Grill is laughing a lot. Grill says they all want to kill John. Who does John want to kill? I'm going to kill you, Grill. Yeah. That's what John says. Grill says, how about we play a game? One hand to decide who wins. And I was like, oh, Tim, they're going to play poker. Tim likes cards.
I do.
They're going to play 5-card draw. John has 2-pair ace high. Did I ask you to tell me what this was, or did I figure it out myself? I think I wrote this down myself.
So, in gambling, the aces and eights is considered a dead man's hand. And
so he had aces and eights, and that means dead man's hand?
It's a dead man's hand. It has to do with the Old West. And,
Old West?
Yeah, and there was a...
We're going to find all the Old West Easter eggs.
I can't remember who it was, but one of the gamblers or somebody was shot over aces and eights.
Oh.
And so it's called the dead man's hand.
Kane has 4 9s. It's a pretty good hand.
That's a pretty good hand.
Okay. Tracker has a royal flush. Better hand.
That's a better hand.
Okay. And then Grill says, one thinks he can serve his way. I don't know what that means.
You know they came here for a review.
Okay, so girl says this. One thinks he can serve his way out. One thinks he can buy his way out. One thinks he can kill his way out. And then girl shows his hand and he has 5 of a kind. And he's like, ha 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 ha, I was always going to win. Girl says, it was not personal. Maybe a bit. John slices him with a card and then shoots him in the butt. So what does he go like this with a card, or does he throw it like throwing star style? I think it must be like this or something, like right next to him.
I don't remember.
Well, it's right before he shoots him in the butt, which is funny because he keeps hitting this guy in the butt with different weapons.
Yeah.
Tracker gives his dog the kill command. So this is the first time we actually see the dog do any fighting, right?
Yeah.
And does his dog have a name?
Dog.
Grill runs into the club and John stalks him. They have a fist fight in the middle of the club with everyone still dancing around them. Okay, so Grill is like at least 3 times as large as John. He's like Dick Tracy, like the super giant guy from...
he's like 6'7", and probably 350.
Yeah. But very agile.
Yeah, and John Wick is,
slim, tall, old.
Yeah.
Just kidding. He's not old. He's just tired. He's been fighting for 10 years.
Yeah.
So they're having a fist fight while everyone's still dancing around them. They're just like, what? We're super high. We don't care.
Yeah, we don't care.
Grill is huge, but also a kickboxer. Oh, yeah, I thought this was hilarious. He's agile. Yeah, he's giant kickboxer man.
With a shot butt.
Yes. John is kicked off the water display and falls hard down one level and then another. John takes some hard falls in this movie.
He does.
Really bad. Where you're thinking, okay, he's not going to get up.
I couldn't get up. I know that.
Oh, and he wasn't wearing a Kevlar helmet. So every time he falls, like maybe his spine isn't broken, but his head would be.
You would think at some point he's probably got a few concussions.
Maybe he had an invisibility Kevlar helmet.
Oh my goodness.
Probably. John gets up and starts getting attacked by Grill's men. So it just keeps getting worse and worse. So he's kicked off of the thing. You think his back's broken. He gets up and you're like, oh, he's got to go fight Grill. No, he's got to fight all of these men. Yeah. So John is killing with an axe now. Somehow he got an axe.
Now he's an axe murderer.
We're back to Kane, and he and Tracker clear the card room. So together they just, backs to each other, just get everybody.
Clear it out.
Tracker's other command besides kill is nuts. Tim liked this part.
This was
so you can imagine what the dog's supposed to do when he yells that. Grill is back to beating up John. John stabs him in the neck, but he keeps fighting.
Yeah.
Then John gets him on the ground in the rain and beats him, and then all of these men rush him again. So during this part, it was like really beautiful cinematography. You had this giant fan that was whipping around like behind them. It's raining on them, and then it looked really cool.
Yeah.
This was one of my favorite parts, even though it was gross. But the whole movie was gross. But this part was cool looking. So
my favorite part's coming up.
Okay, good.
It's actually towards the end.
He's on the ground, in the rain, beating him. Grill gets up again and takes another breath from his inhaler. I didn't mention that before, but he's...
Oh my goodness, yes, he's got
asthmatic kickboxer.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and giant kickboxer. John chases him and throws his axe at his butt. And Grill says, "Why don't you die?" And John kicks him off the railing and he breaks his neck on the stairs.
Yeah.
So... I mean, Kevlar turtlenecks, he should invest.
Should.
Tracker has John in his sights, and Kane stops him and says, "He's mine." And when asked, says he gave up his eyes voluntarily.
Yes.
Ooh. So that was part of his deal, I guess.
To get out.
Oh, to get out.
Yeah.
John takes the grill from Girl Dude back to Pyotr's daughter, and they brand themselves in a ritual, and she welcomes him into the family and calls him Jardani. Yeah. So now he's part of Pyotr's clan.
Pyotr's.
He has their crest upon his chest. It is his arm, I think.
Arm.
Yeah. Winston visits the Marquis, sitting in his massive art room, and gives him John's challenge to hand combat, and says... Hand-to-hand combat. And says, "You will accept because none of us are above the table." So Winston's there to deliver the hand-to-hand combat challenge.
Well, it's an armed combat. Not hand to hand.
What's hand to hand?
Hand to hand is like they're fighting.
Oh, I must mean one on one.
Fist to fist. Yeah,
one on one.
Okay. It's one on one.
Silly me.
A duel.
A duel.
A duel.
A duel. John's terms allow for him to be released from his bond to the table if he wins.
Yes.
Winston baits the Marquis's pride. Winston says, as his second, upon John's win, his excommunicado will be lifted and his hotel rebuilt. So he's John's second. If John can't fight, he has to step in and fight.
Yes.
Okay. And there's more stipulations to that coming up.
Well, yeah.
So John meets the Marquis in front of the Eiffel Tower. So now John's in Paris. They're in front of the Eiffel Tower. This is also a beautiful situation. They are discussing terms, and I really like this part. There's like cards on the table. There's these like 8 cards, and they turn over a card, and whoever has the high card gets to determine what happens at that part of the duel. So the Harbinger, I can't ever get that right. He verifies the brand on John's arm.
Maybe we should call him Mr. H.
It's okay. I'll just,
I mean, we're almost done talking about him. So
Kane is there as well, BTW. They are choosing places and times and flip over numbered metal cards to decide whose choice goes.
So
High card
who gets
wins.
which choice?
Yeah,
which
so
pick?
if you thought that they were just turning over cards, no. These were like gorgeous metal.
Yeah, they were
on this like
cards.
special table for this special.
Yeah,
it was pretty.
It was
right
pretty.
in front of the Eiffel Tower. So dueling pistols at sunrise. No quarter. A nomination is Kane. I don't know what no quarter is, but
no quarter means that there will not be any quarter given. So one person is going to die.
No quarter. So like, I want quarter. What does that mean?
Yeah. So you can yield if there's if
so
if
quarter
they allow
is like
quarter,
yield.
Yeah, you can yield
Mercy.
after a certain time period. So like after the first shot, you can yield.
Okay.
Or...
So when I was watching Midsummer Murders, this one episode, they're having a sword fight. And the one guy takes the sword and draws first blood on his face, and that's the end of the duel. He's like, we're just going to end it here. But not in John Wick, you're saying.
Not in John Wick.
No. A nomination is Kane. I didn't understand this at this point, but basically the Marquis just picked Kane as his number 2.
As his champion.
Oh, as his champion. That's right. Not only as number 2, as his champion. So instead of fighting, Marquis like, Kane's going to fight.
Yeah, because John's like, oh, I want to kill the Marquis.
Yeah. And so this is his like way out of not dying to John or whatever. He's going to...
Because John is even like, I'm going to kill you when they're sitting at the table.
Yeah. So then extra.
And then he's like, oh, well, in that case, I nominate Kane as my champion.
And Kane's just like...
Ugh.
And then he's like, you fight your own battles. And he's like, do it or I'll kill your daughter.
Yeah.
So... in a sticky situation.
Well, it's kind of like one of the things for me, like at this point, was I was like, wait a minute, you're gonna have a blind guy be your champion at a gunfight?
Yeah, but it's like it hurts John because he doesn't want to kill his friend. So he's like, John's definitely gonna let his friend kill him. Don't you think?
I guess we'll find out.
But also, it doesn't really matter that he's a blind guy. Like, he's just epic. So, he'll be fine. Yeah. That's what I think.
We'll see.
Marquis says he's only a killer, nothing else. Kane says he won't do it. Marcy, we'll just call him Marcy.
Marcy.
Says he'll kill his daughter. John goes to a church and lights a candle, and Kane is there. And John sits across the aisle from him, and they have a sentimental chat.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Harbinger.
By the way, I'll just throw this out here.
Yeah.
The chat becomes more important later in the movie.
Okay. You remind me. Okay?
I will.
All right. The Harbinger and Marquis are walking. He tells him a man's ambitions should never exceed his worth. Oh, yeah. And Marquis ignores it. John goes to the French underground and gives a pass paper to get through the gate. A train arrives, and Winston and the Bowery King get out. The Bowery King is there, too?
He is. He is the king of the sewers.
I don't really remember why. I don't think it's the king of the sewers, babe.
I think
he's
it
the
is.
underground king. That can mean like a lot of things.
I know,
not
but
sewer.
they literally call him the king of the sewers at the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Oh, the reason why the Bowery King is there is to bring John a new Kevlar suit.
Yes.
Marquis sends out his baddie to kill John before the duel. And now there's a new bounty of 26 million. Well, at first the Marquis is like, go get him. But then after that, this whole thing goes with the radio station and the lady's like talking into her podcast like, oh, go get John.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she has a nice accent.
She did.
The hit goes out on the radio for his new bounty. The whole city's after him now. So all of Paris is coming for John. And the Bowery King gives him a tricked out gun, and then they climb into a boat traveling down the underground river. Was he like the outfitter, the armory dude? Was he like that in the last one? That's his new role in this one.
It's his new role in this one. I think he did help outfit him, and he also helped hide him for a while.
Yeah, he helped hide him and escape him and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? John wants his grave to say John, loving husband.
Yeah.
And Tim says he wants his grave to say John, loving husband.
Yes.
Do you remember that you said that?
Yeah.
Wick gets out on the street and he's spotted immediately and starts getting chased. He's run over a few times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are they fighting?
In the middle of the street.
Yeah, but
this part was so crazy.
It's a popular street though.
Right in front of the Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah, it's the roundabout there.
They're gonna see the Murder Mystery 2 cast filming here.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking the whole time.
He has no doors on his car, driving backwards, shooting out his front windshield, and he gets Batty in the neck. He's going in circles, shooting all the assassins around him as he gets hit, and then he gets hit by a car. So he's like doing a donut, just as he goes around, because they just keep coming. It's like infinite assassins.
Yeah.
Or just bad. They're not really assassins. They don't work for the table. They're just anybody on the crime radio.
Yeah.
He
goes through a few here.
He gets hit by a car. Now he's on foot, being stalked on all sides. Batty shows back up, and they're chasing and shooting in and around traffic. So they're like, it's like the Frogger game, or like the chicken that's jumping, trying to fight through traffic. It's like that.
Yeah.
He's just running through traffic, and they're just all getting hit by cars as they go.
Just so you know, on Frogger, it was a frog, not a chicken.
I know, but there's another game.
There is another game. Okay. But you called out Frogger and then said chicken.
Well, you know, all the people know. They all know. John gets hit again, and Batty is back. Tracker shows up and kills a guy who is on John. So Tracker is helping him now.
So yeah, he's helping him because he wants the bounty himself.
Yeah. But he's not a very sinister guy the whole time. He's like probably the most lovable character.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Him and his dog.
The dog.
He sends his dog to get Batty, who throws the dog into traffic, but he was okay.
He was okay.
John's on a motorcycle now. 2 hours and 10 minutes into the film, I looked at Tim and said, is this the end of the movie? No. No, it was not. 2 hours and 10 minutes of solid fighting.
Are you sure it was 2 hours and 10 minutes?
I wrote it down. So that means I'm very sure. Okay. John runs into an old building and is chased upstairs. Tracker and his dogs are there. Marquis calls Tracker and says, fine, you have a deal. And Tracker says, now it's 35 million, and hangs up. Because Marquis is getting a little desperate. He's like, he doesn't want him to show up for the duel. And Marquis calls him back immediately again and agrees to the raised price of 40 million. So between 5 minutes, it just raised 5 more million.
Yeah, he raised, because he's like, fine, 35. He's like, now it's 40.
Yeah. Everyone is alerted of the new bounty. So he agrees to Tracker to pay that much, but why is he agreeing to everybody else to pay that much?
Well, he ups it a little bit, but
did he
up it all the way to 40 for
everyone is alerted of the new bounty?
Because he wants John Wick dead.
Yeah.
And
So right now there's this camera work, which might all be CGI, but it's an overhead view of John in this house, like you're watching mice in a maze fighting against the baddies. And this was the best part. And then I got a little bit seasick of it. Like, it was really cool at first, and then I was getting vertigo. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But it was very cool. It was like...
Yeah.
It
was an overhead view of a fight scene.
Yeah, with no roof, but like all the walls and everything. So you're like seeing him go through the... I don't know. I thought it was cool. I hadn't seen that before. Tracker is killing his way through to John. Now they're going one-on-one. John tackled him through a hole in the second floor. Ouch.
Yeah.
Batty shows back up. And when I say Batty, don't forget I'm talking about Marquis' #1 dude, who's not dead still.
Yeah.
And the dog gets him again, and then John chooses to shoot the baddie who is aiming at the dog instead of Tracker. So John has a chance to kill Tracker who's after him, and instead he changes his gun and shoots the guy who is about to kill the dog. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of like an homage to the very first John Wick, because that's how this all started. Was somebody killed his dog.
Will not go down.
We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
The Tracker and Batty fall down a floor, and he breaks his neck on the stairs. So I guess this is not the main baddie. I just said it was the main baddie, but this is another baddie.
No, they all look alike.
Yeah. John runs away. Well, the main baddie, he's on the top 10 billing, and you actually get to see his face up close more than the other people.
Yeah, but they all looked like him, I thought.
Anyway, I think does he have like a handlebar mustache and stuff? Or beard?
Handlebar mustache?
A
mustache.
It's a new thing.
Yeah. Mustache on your chin.
John runs away and falls out a window. Jonathan! He gets up and has to climb... So at the very end of getting chased all the way through Paris, he gets to this place where he has to climb 221 steps. And the lady on the radio is like, he has to climb 200. And that's how we know, because she's announcing it to everybody. Everybody get to the steps. He's about to climb these steps. You can go get him. So we're like, now he has to climb this giant staircase of steps after being so exhausted for this whole movie. Remember, we're 2 hours and almost a half into this movie.
Yeah. And he has like 6 minutes.
Yeah. I think I wrote it down.
10 minutes.
It'll come in a second. Yeah, he has a very short period of time before sunset, and he's going to forfeit the duel, and he'll die, basically, right? Yeah. And Winston will get killed, too.
Right.
Yeah. So he's not only is he trying to climb 221 steps, which I couldn't do, but also the assassins are fighting him the whole time.
The whole time. They're coming downhill at him.
Assassins spring out of him one by one. He takes them all out one by one. And I was making a note that I'm exhausted because this is ridiculous. However, I got reinvigorated because there's good music on the stairs here. Genesis by Justice turns on, and I was like, yeah. The amount of combat extras for this movie was my note here. All the people falling downstairs and getting hit by cars. I mean, it was probably like the same 20 dudes.
Probably.
Main baddie appears on the stairs. And is this your favorite part? John has fought his way up 221 stairs, and Batty appears and kicks him all the way down the stairs. And John just boom, 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 boom.
He was literally like 20 steps from the top and gets kicked 200 steps down.
Yeah, so not only does he have to start over, but he's just taken all those hits, every single step.
Every step.
Down.
Yeah.
Like, how is his neck not broken? How is his head not broken? You know, it was silly, but... When this happened, the guys behind us laughed so hard. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, we're all just sitting there with all this pent-up tension, and he gets kicked down 221 stairs, and the guys were just dying.
I was laughing, too, because it was just, like, so ironic that you get all the way to the top, and you get knocked down. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, he got kicked and rolled down, like, one set of flight.
Where you kind of think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
No. That landing,
every single step.
Down to the next landing, to the next landing, to the next, and then he like stands up and gets kicked again, and down some more landings all the way to the bottom. And so now he's got like 4 minutes left,
or like 3 minutes
to get all the way up to the top.
So John's laying at the foot of the stairs, and Kane comes up, and he says, what time is sunrise? And John goes 2, maybe 3 minutes, or maybe it was the other one that asked that, I'm not sure. And Kane says, I need you to get up to the top of those stairs, John. And this is actually finally when I understood what it meant that he nominated Kane. I was like, oh, he's telling him to get up there because they're going to fight each other.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that he was like, get up there. I need you to get up there. Because if John didn't, then he would just win and not have to fight his friend, right? But Kane's going to like push him to get up to the top of these stairs. He pulls him up and he goes, ready? They walk up together and reload and start killing up the stairs together. Batty is back and throws him down the stairs again.
Again.
Yeah.
Again.
Tracker has John in his sights and his dog whimpers. Tracker shoots the baddie instead and he gets back up. Kane pulls his gun on him and he says, you can't shoot me. So he pulls a pencil out and stabs him with it. So the baddie's like, you can't shoot me. You're working for my guy. So instead of shooting him, he just stabs him with a pencil.
Makes sense.
Baddie sees Tracker's dog and he yells nuts and the dog attacks and Tracker shoots him and then his dog pees on him. This was Tim's favorite part.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah. So finally that guy's dead now.
Finally
right?
that guy's dead and the
pees
dog
on him.
is like, I hate you, and pisses on his head.
Yeah. More laughter. Lots of laughter.
Yeah.
He reaches the top at sunrise. Harbinger says, and so we begin. Literally, John has not had a second to breathe.
No.
And now he has to fight this duel and kill his friend. Tracker watches, and John takes off his suit jacket and vest because, you know, it's Kevlar.
Right, it's Kevlar.
And lots of bullets drop out. Like, this whole end of it was funny because he's just taking off each article of his suit clothing and just drop all these bullets.
Yeah, because like all of the gunshots that he's done through the whole night.
Yeah.
You know, he's got all these casings that have just been ejected out of the gun that it got caught in his clothing.
I wrote down sassy Western duel music. Last words, Winston? And Winston says, just have fun out there. And then the two friends face off. Tim thinks Kane will shoot the Marquis. They fire at 30 paces and each hit each other in the arm. And so if they don't kill each other at 30 paces, then they're going to walk to 20 paces and then they're going to shoot again. And then they get their second comes up and reloads their bullet for them.
Yeah, so there's only one bullet in the gun each round.
Each time. So then they shoot again at 20 paces and they both get hit again. And then they move to 10 paces. They say to each other, those who cling to death live. Those who cling to life die. And then they shoot and John is hit. And he falls backwards. Marquis says, I claim the coup de grace. What's coup de grace?
It's the final strike.
The final strike. So he says, I claim the coup de grace, and I keep saying the coup de grace.
It's coup.
And is gone.
You're going to France in like a couple of months, so maybe
well,
get
I'm
a
not
coup
going to
de
say
grace.
the coup de grace.
Maybe get a coup de grace.
He's going to go in for the kill shot.
Yes.
Since John is hit, but he's going to like make sure he's dead. And he's like, I'm going to get the good shot or whatever, the final shot. But then John sits up and shoots the Marquis in the face. And Tracker is laughing. I guess I didn't write down here.
So Winston was like, Winston goes, oh, you forgot one thing, Marquis.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's that? And he's like, John never fired.
Uh-huh.
And then John shoots the Marquis.
That's why John had a bullet to shoot the Marquis.
Yes.
Because the reason why John got hit and fell over and Kane didn't is John didn't fire.
Right. And Kane shot him in the gut.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. So do you think they had that planned?
That's what I think happened at the church.
Yeah.
I believe that they had that discussion about how we're going to kill the Marquis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's why they kept shooting each other in the arm and in the clavicle.
Yeah.
In the groin. In the groin.
No one got shot in the groin.
Do you remember what show they keep calling it, the groin?
No.
It's from The Last Man on Earth. They're talking about the groin, but the girl keeps saying the groin. The groin.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Man. Okay, so
wrong review though.
Tracker is laughing, and the Harbinger says, your obligation to the table is satisfied. You are free, as are you and your daughter, sir. And he's talking to Kane. All of your terms will be fulfilled, Mr. Manager. Our business here is now concluded. So John's side, all of the side, they win.
Yes. Do they though?
Well, Kane pats John on the shoulder and calls him his brother. John says, you owe me one. John asks Winston to take him home, and he starts walking down the stairs and taking off his belt and weapons. But then he sits down on a stair and dreams about his wife and falls over on the stairs.
Yeah.
So we're to think that he's dead.
Yeah.
Because the next scene, we're in NYC, John's grave next to his wife's. And I wrote down, why did he have to go kill all those people just to die and go be with Helen now?
I don't think he is with Helen.
Well, like he got his friend Shimazu killed.
Yeah.
I think it's silly. I wrote down 2 hours and 49 minutes in, and there is a post-credit scene. Should we spoil the post-credit scene since we spoiled everything else?
Might as well.
In the post-credit scene, you see Kane about to finally go make contact with his daughter, who he's stayed away from for years, we think, and walking towards him in a big coat is Akira, and she's got a knife or a gun, I can't remember. She's coming, and she's gonna kill Kane before he gets to his daughter, but...
Cutscene. And I think that's where John Wick 5 is going to pick up.
It's going to be called John Wick Arena. So Honor really wants
Akira Wick.
Honor really wants me to go rinse out her hair. I've just been dyeing Honor's hair purple and blue. So she's texting me frantic messages. But to wrap up, I liked this film. I think you can tell from our review we had a good time. Like, we are recollecting. We watched this maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We have some jolly recollections about it. But, man, it was an exhausting amount of killing. It was just so much.
Yeah. It was to the point where I was like, okay, this is enough.
Yeah.
We could probably move on and do something else.
But I told that same sentiment to another friend, and they said, well, that's the point. Like, that's what makes it so good.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
No, it was fun. It was...
I think it was better than number 3, wasn't it?
You know, I would have to go back and watch number 3 because I don't remember it all.
I mean, usually I gauge how much I like the movie if I fell asleep or not.
Yeah, well, you were taking notes, so you weren't allowed to fall asleep.
I was banned from the sleepage.
Banned from the sleepage.
So yeah, I like this movie. I might watch it again because there were some funny parts.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole part in Berlin, I think, was probably pretty good, even though it was a lot of killing. But that part was pretty funny. The whole part on the stairs was pretty funny.
Yeah, that one was.
The kitchen fighting was pretty good. So I mean,
the fights were good. They felt long.
Yeah.
They felt too long and too
But
intense.
I think that was kind of like the filmmakers were like showing off here, being like, look at what we can accomplish. Like, we're going to have so much fighting. It's going to go on forever. And we're not just like all these fast little tiny takes that we're going to smush together that don't feel all part of one. I enjoyed the casting. I thought their villain was great. They had lots of high stakes. A lot of things that I thought should have killed a lot of people and didn't. So I was like, whoa. So yeah.
Yeah. I guess I could give it an 8 as well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me for this movie. Thanks
You're
for
quite
inviting me on the
welcome.
date to go watch this with you.
It was a fun date.
Shall we tell them what's up next?
What is up next?
Well, our next episode, after just one episode where we talk about 9 more TV shows, if you've seen that segment on our channel, the next deep dive and discussion will be a book review by Tim Moon, and it is of the book The Maid by Nita Prose.
Nita Prose,
Yeah. So, it is a murder mystery. If you would like to read it and be prepared to discuss it with us, we encourage you to do so.
Is the mystery, why is Tim reading this?
No, I'm pretty sure they've solved that mystery by now.
Or is the murder of my
Your brain cells?
my brain cells? Is that
Excuse me, I just watched 2 hours and 50 minutes of John Wick fighting.
Yeah, but you enjoyed it, you said.
I was very exhausted of that.
Okay, guys, there's a difference between 2 hours and 50 minutes of watching a movie and 10 hours of reading.
You know
a
what?
book.
I read this entire book in one day. I was like, yoo-hoo, let's keep going. I thought it was a good read.
Okay. Well,
to be fair,
I guess
listened
we'll discuss
to it while
that.
I was working, but still.
I guess we'll discuss that in the next review.
Yeah. Tim was probably going to tell you that he fell asleep and just hated the whole thing. But that is what we'll find out in the next video. So
Maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
yeah, you never know with this little sussy guy here.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us for this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, leave us a comment down below.
Yeah.
And we will see you back for another one very soon. And if you have any recommendations or requests, please leave those down below as well.
Yes. Should we do any reviews on like self-help books or
Yeah, we haven't tried one of those
Yeah.
yet. I literally hate those.
Really?
Is that why you said that? Because you know I hate self-help books?
No, I didn't know that, but knowing is half the battle.
Oh, let's read some
'Cause-
chicken soup for the soul.
I was looking at some of those.
No!
I really was.
Please, no.
Wait. You're
I need
making
to
me
read
read
stuff
murder
that-
mysteries, and you're making me read romances.
Okay, I need to read stuff that takes me out of my life in a way that doesn't feel like, I don't know. I don't want to be grounded by my literature and my movies. I want to be taken to
But
a far
that's
place.
the thing. Self-help books are uplifting and
Ugh.
not grounding. So you're obviously doing it wrong.
I am. All right, guys, we're going to see you back next time, and have a fantastic rest of your day.
Yep.
Okay.
Have a great one.
Bye.
All right, bye.